All right,
Thank you for the time.
Yes, can you hear me okay? Oh, I'm muted.
No, I can hear you absolutely fine.
Oh, you can? All right,
I can. I can.
So, Stephen, am I allowed to admit that this is our first Zoom? This is my first
This is
Zoom.
our first Zoom. This is mine as well. Yes.
Okay, so for
Thank
people
you.
who are like, wow, Hot Mess Express, that should be my hashtag. So this
No worries.
this is an exciting day. For those of you just tuning in, this is coming up in the 11 o'clock hour this morning, something to look forward to. And Lord knows, don't we need that? I should introduce you, Captain Stephen Hudson. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy Monday, and I want to say thank you for the time really to talk about the F-16 flyover.
Well, listen, I have my patriotic gear. I'm set. I just want to make sure, Stephen, that everyone gets an opportunity to, get a few hours here to get their gear together. Your PPE so you can social distance out in public. I have to make do with what I have. But there's an opportunity today to see the 169th Swamp Fox pilots fly F-16s over the Lowcountry with a big old thank you and salute to our medical community, our hospital heroes. This is so exciting. Let's first talk about the Air Force's operation this is all a part of, Operation American Resolve.
Yeah, so we're just part of a larger the word escapes me, just a larger initiative to really just celebrate the folks that have been, at the front lines of this fight since it really got started. So we're, it's really just one way that we can say thank you to our medical professionals, the doctors and nurses, the techs, the first responders, the folks who are out there really taking the fight to the enemy every day with the COVID-19.
So let's talk about the fighter wing, because I know that this is part of exercise operations that were already in place, but y'all are double teaming, which I love, because in case anyone's out there saying, oh my gosh, how much does this cost? Y'all already wrote the check. The money had already been spent.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that we're tacking this on to training that was already taking place Monday anyway. So we have Monday morning, we have what's called a 6 ship. So 6 aircraft are going to go up. They're going to do regular training anyway. They're actually going to hit a tanker from the Tennessee Air Guard. While they're up training, it's normal, it's routine, it's things that the pilots have to do to keep their certifications up. And then so what the guys wanted to do was, we had already been talking about this anyway, of doing something special when Operation American Resolve kind of showed up on our radar, and we said, hey, we want to jump on this. So it's pretty interesting. So our guys they're gonna do their normal routine flying. It's scheduled, it's already on the books. And then what's going to happen is those 6 aircraft are going to split into 2-2-2, and so you'll have some go to the upstate, basically up from Edgefield up to Anderson, around Greenville, Spartanburg, back around Cherokee County, and then you'll have another group that'll hit kind of the Midlands, and then the Charleston. So we call it the South route, and so that'll be kind of your, Walterboro, Hilton Head, Bluffton, Charleston, Somerville, all the way up. So, and then they'll come back around. They have to land anyway, so they got to come back home, and so that they'll pass over, Sumter and Manning and places like that. So the goal is to really pass over 66 hospitals in the state of South Carolina on Monday.
That is so cool. So it's coming up later this morning, and joining us from the 169th, I want to talk about the fighter wing itself, because we hear Swamp Fox, and that certainly has a whole lot of history here in South Carolina.
It does. So, as Francis Marion, the original Swamp Fox, and that's sort of how we trace our lineage. It's the early militia, and so it's a great unit. It's we were founded just after World War II, so really 1946, and so we've done a lot of amazing things in our history, and so the fighter wing stays very busy. So it's this is obviously flying F-16s is our main mission.
Yeah.
Right. But we also, we do a lot of stuff when it comes to domestic operations, post-hurricanes, whether it's Florence or Dorian. A lot of our guys wind up getting mobilized. Our security forces guys, I think it was after Florence, went down to the Florence County area and assisted local law enforcement. And also the base itself, very interesting. McEntire Joint National Guard bases, one of only 2 standalone Air National Guard bases. Most Air Guard bases are co-located either at an international airport or an airport or on the backside of an Air Force installation. So the 125th out of Jacksonville, they're on the backside of the Jacksonville International Airport. So the interesting thing about MCENTIRE itself being 2,300 acres, it's so large, it actually allows us to do some really unique training. So we could host, the South Carolina Highway Patrol comes out and uses it for some training. We've hosted Richland County Sheriff's Department. A lot of special operations training handles out there. The great thing about the base is we like to say we're all tooth and no tail. And so we can shut that base down completely. It'll go completely blacked out, lights out. And then we'll have groups like the Rangers, 75th Ranger Regiment will come in, and Special Operations SOAR will come in. The Special Operations, the Night Stalkers can come in and take it. And so it's great. So it's a real unique value right here in South Carolina. A lot of people don't even know that it even exists, but it's a large installation and allows for, we can really get some unique training done with so many different organizations there.
And your pilots are also fascinating. What's the average, how many pilots do you have flying with the Swamp Fox crew with pilots? What's their average age? How many do you have? I have so many questions. How many do you have?
Sure. It's about 60. We have about 60 pilots. Most of them are what we call traditional DSG drill status guardsmen, right? So that 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks per year, right? So that's kind of a misnomer. That kind of went out of the window after 9/11. There's not many 1 weekend a month people. It almost seems like sometimes it's 1 weekend off a month. So a lot of those pilots, they have to stay current on their ratings and their currencies. And so they fly a lot. They really do. They have to be in the air a fair amount. So yes, we do have full-time pilots who fly out there, but most of our guys are traditional 1 weekend a month folks who are fighter pilots, and a lot of them fly for airlines. And so when they're off not flying for the airlines, then they come and they fly out of the base so that they can keep current on all the other the ratings that they have to have. So there's a lot that goes into flying an F-16. It's very unique.
So how fast, let's talk about the F-16 here for a second. How fast are they going to be flying over the Lowcountry, the Midlands, portions of the upstate? Is it going to be low and slow? What are the rules here?
Well, so they're going to go as low and slow as possible. So they have to follow what's called the AFI, or the Air Force instruction, that's going to tell them what's the bottom that they can go. So it's about 1,000 feet above sea level. So they're going to be right about 1,000 feet. I think they're going to be at about 300 knots. So they're going to go as low and as slow as possible to give a good show, but they've got to do it safely. So
how
flight
many
safety
miles?
is,
yeah.
I'd have to Google it. I'd probably have to.
That's hilarious.
I'd probably have to Google 300 knots to see what it is.
Yeah, no,
I'm
okay. So while that's happening, so what's the fastest they go? If we're talking low and slow versus what?
Oh yeah, I mean they can go. I mean over the speed of sound. I mean they can once they get into Mach. You know, you're. I'd have to look it up what the speed on the F-16 is, but you know it also depends on what their loadout is and things like that, and how many the external fuel tanks they have. So there's some factors. If it's just the base model F-16 with nothing else kind of hanging on it and go a little faster. They got a lot.
Model.
So they have the combat loadout on it. It's going to go a little slower.
So we're talking about something that you can look forward to coming up in the 11 o'clock hour across the Lowcountry, it looks like, because it's been out there since I think Friday over the weekend. Y'all put out the timeline of when you can see this so that people can pack up their gear, don their patriotic gear. I was trying to find something as a shout out to our medical community, but I'll see what I can come up with. Maybe people just wearing their PPE.
Maybe, yeah.
Be a shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, social distance. And, actually, I talked to, here in the Midlands area, I talked to Lexington Medical Center, their marketing director the other day, and she and I spoke. Her husband's in the Guard as well. And so she and I spoke the other day, and she said, they put out an e-blast across the hospital to let all the employees of the hospital know so that they could come out and look up. So
yes. And if you're living near the hospitals, I mean, maybe specifically we could mention some of these here and the timing on this, because I know it's an approximate time. So people, if they want to get either out in the yard, away from the shade of the trees, or maybe even just drive the car up near Somerville Medical Center, for example, between, 11:35 and 11:50 today, you're going to get a glimpse of this. And what a cool thing to do with the kids.
Yeah, it really is cool. you mentioned children, but we celebrate STEM. We do so much on the base with kids in our local area here in Richland County to talk about STEM. And so yeah, it's a great way. Maybe there's so many kids are out of school right now. Maybe it's a way we could do a little homeschooling tool and talk about the physics that are involved and really what it takes to fly one of these jets.
And what's interesting, Captain Hudson talked about how they continue with recruiting efforts through COVID-19. And to me, what an awesome opportunity to show your kids, your teens, whomever, here's a career, here's something you can do in the future. Imagine that, getting them hooked.
Yeah, so we are still recruiting. It's and it's important to note that our enemies don't rest. We might be doing this COVID-19 response, and yes, we're socially distancing, and we're trying to do things the smart way as a military, but we still have to train. We do. We understand that the threat still lurks out there, and our enemies do not rest.
So the fighter wing is the 169th, and we talked about the Swamp Fox pilots that are going to be flying over the Lowcountry. I want to quickly put out there, and I'll also post it here as well, with this video of the timing of all of this, because Roper St. Francis in Berkeley County, 11:50 to 12:05, coming up today. Same times, I would say about the same times across the Lowcountry, from 11:35 to noon is really what it looks like.
Yeah. It looks like, I think, I'm looking at our sheet. If you don't mind, I'm going to cheat just for a second, look down, but it looks like Somerville Medical Center, the window of time, it looks like 11:35 a.m. to 11:50. Roper St. Francis in Berkeley County, 11:50 to 12:05. Trident Medical Center in Charleston, looks like 11:50 to 12:05. So yeah, really, it looks like it's that 11:40 to about 12:05. And then once you get over to Orangeburg, so we'll go through Colleton County. It looks like they're going to hit Colleton County somewhere between 11:30 and 11:45, and then it looks like they'll start so they're going to be heading home after they hit Somerville, and then so the regional medical facility there in Orangeburg County will be between 12 and 12:15. And then once you get past Orangeburg, and I think that's out of your listenership right there, then we get into the Midlands, and then they'll be coming on home.
Oh, well, we stream live online worldwide with your iHeartRadio app, which is awesome. But beyond that, here on the World Wide Web and, streaming with Zoom and all this technology, people are tuning in from all over the place. And some of the places that you mentioned are the hardest hit places. So Hampton, Fairfax, these areas have some of the highest cases, and we know that our medical community there may be stressed absolutely the most to the max. So what an incredible opportunity. If you're near any of the locations that I will post here or here, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's our pleasure to do. I mean, we're really excited to do this. Like I said, it's on the backside of a training mission anyway, and we can do this. And this is, like I said, part of a larger Air Force initiative called Operation American Resolve. And so we really just want people to just have a little boost in morale. Just look up, see those beautiful jets fly by, and just know that we're thinking about you. Our uniformed service folks are thinking about our brothers and sisters who are also in uniform, a different kind of uniform, and they're scrubs, but we think about them every day because they really are taking the fight to the enemy, and they're fighting a good fight, and we appreciate all that they do.
So we're getting the message out there early enough here today for you to pack the gear, pack a lunch, open up the back of the trunk. If you want to drive to one of these area hospitals and park at a safe distance, and be able to look up and give a shout. So do the pilots actually see the people below, or is it like a blur?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. I'm sure they can see it. I don't think they can see them with the granularity that you and I think we could, like in a car, but I'm sure that they can see them. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. And here's the thing. We want you, we as in Stephen, they want you to post your social pics and videos, because we know people are going to be like, what's going on? So let's make sure everybody knows. We want to put it on blast that this is a salute to our hospital heroes out there, coming up later today, basically between 11:30 and noon in the Lowcountry, if that's where you're tuning in from.
That's right. So very good point about the hashtag. So please, we want people to use the hashtag. And these are not our hashtags in the South Carolina Guard. This is the larger Air Force tags, but it's hashtag Air Force Salutes and hashtag AF Flyover. So people just post them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and get them out there. So
and I know, Captain Hudson, you mentioned that Operation American Rescue is a part of a broader, much larger, ongoing, really touching tributes across the country. So I don't know if that's a hashtag or just something you want to Google, but I know that people are looking for inspiring things every day. Yeah. So check it out. And
we're just one unit that's going to do this. So Operation American Resolve, I mean, the Thunderbirds are going to be doing some flying. The Blue Angels are going to fly with the Thunderbirds. They're going to hit, I think, Atlanta, Austin, Houston. There's a few larger major metropolitan cities they're going to hit. Talked to some friends from the Utah Guard the other day. The Utah Air National Guard is going to do some fun stuff with some of their tankers. The Tennessee Air Guard is going to do some stuff as well. So it's not just us, it's across the country, but it really is just our way of saying thank you. And we recognize the folks that are, like I said, taking the fight to the enemy every day with this pandemic, and they really are heroes.
All right, so everybody look to the skies for a salute and a wave, and it's all to thank our medical community who's really seeing the toughest and roughest of this during COVID-19. Captain Stephen Hudson, thank you so much for joining us. He's with the 169th. Those F-16 fighter pilots are going to go slow and low this morning between 11:30 and noon. Again, if you're in the Tri-County area, for the rest of the state, again, we're going to post all those times up here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.